Today I'm sitting down because I'm going to tell a short story. I'll try my best to keep it brief. I'm smiling because it's a hard story to tell, but I'm grateful for where I am today. I'll try to keep it short. I learned from one of the books I read recently about TEDx that the best timing for talks to keep attention is about 18 minutes, and that's why you notice most of my videos are usually 18 minutes or about slightly longer or slightly shorter, just to keep people's attention span. So I'll try to keep this under 18 minutes as much as I can. But I will at the same time like to tell a story. And I like to begin with why. Why? Like I mentioned in a recent post, after reading the book, Start With Why, a number of times now, I've decided to incorporate that into all my videos and everything I do. I ask myself a question when I'm preparing what I'm talking about. Why am I making this video? For whom am I making it? And at the beginning of the video, to as much as possible, either directly or indirectly, I also state the why. So the why of today's video is to inspire others. The why of today's video is to help those going through tough times, those who have lost loved ones, whether recently or in the remote past. Grief is a challenging topic. Loss is a challenging topic. It can be very hard to deal with losses, either short term or long term. And that is why I want to say a little bit of my story, but at the same time, also use the map lamp principle to encourage you on what you can do to deal with your losses. What you can do to overcome your grief. So the title is I overcame tragedy, or I survived tragedy at the age of 7 years old. Can you survive yours too? We all experience losses, and honestly, the way I think of it, I might be wrong, is every human being on earth, one way or the other, I've experienced one loss or the other of a loved one. Either your husband, either your wife, parents, grandparents, children. No matter your age, no matter where you are, everybody has experienced loss. So I believe this is a topic that resonates well, that should resonate well with every single human being. Some people's losses might be more tragic than others, like mine. Some people might lose maybe aged parents, maybe like when they are 100 or 90. Does that make it less painful? Maybe not. Just that the circumstances and the situation surrounding it is just different. But we all have to deal with losses at one time or the other. We all have to experience grief at one time or the other. So I survived tragedy at the age of 7, and I'll tell a brief story. I'll try to keep it brief so I can have a little time to still encourage and say a few things we can do. We are in the acute phase, especially of losses right now, to deal with it. So on February 13th, 1986, and then I was 7 years old. Typically every morning, we had a number of people living in our house. My mom had 3 kids, 3 boys. She was a nurse, working in General Hospital in Kontagora. My father was a pharmacist. He used to work at Federal Polytechnic in Bida, Niger State, Nigeria, but he left from Bida to Kontagora in 1984, if I can remember correctly, to start his business. Initially, he started with a pharmaceutical store. For those listening in the US or the advanced nations, in Nigeria, most pharmacies are owned by individuals and they're usually local retailers. Not like in the US where you have like big conglomerate of CVS. I don't know if Nigeria has that now. But individuals own small, like local pharmacies. My dad started one and it was thriving. He also started an hospital a private hospital to. Also in Nigeria, typically most hospitals are owned by either government or individuals. I can't remember if the hospital started before mom died. I think they were at the process at that time. So we woke up 13th of February 1986. Dad has gone to pharmacy. Mom going to her work. She was dressed in white uniform, nursing uniform. And we had a number of people living in the house. Apart from that, our mom, 3 kids, 3 boys. I was the first. We had other people living in the house from my dad's family side, from my mom's family side. So I can't remember exact number in my head now, but I'm sure we had not less than 3 or 4 other people living in the house at that time. So she typically in her fashion, she gave everybody assignments of what to do and do this, and we all went to school. That was the last I had. I ever saw her. They came to pick us from school later in the afternoon, bundled us into my father's 504, Peugeot 504. I don't know if anybody still remember that. And from school, I was wearing school uniform. We drove straight to my city or village, call it in Nigeria, Ikpe, Kwara State, Nigeria, to bury my mom that same day. I didn't have the opportunity to see her body, but of course I saw the casket. I used to have a picture with me for a long time, but I lost it in between so many transitions of life. And if there's anybody who knows, maybe the photographer who took those pictures, I think I will still cherish if I can find it. That was the picture that was taken at the graveside of my mom. I was wearing school uniform. My younger brother, I think one of them too, who was old enough to be in school, was wearing school. The school uniform was pink check. Mustafa Nursery School then, which became Mustafa Comprehensive School in Kontagora, was the school I was attending. So I was wearing the pink check uniform of Mustafa Comprehensive School at the graveside of my mother. So I went to school in the morning and was bundled into the car. Nobody told me anything. But of course I knew something was wrong. And we drove straight to my city, our home city, my father's village, and we buried my mom the same day. And that was it. Okay, so then the journey started. It was a tough situation for my father. I saw one of the notes he also wrote later. His father died 5 years later. But I saw one of the notes he wrote later, some of his journals. Again, I don't have access to all these things. I hope somebody has not burned all of them. I wish I could still have access. Where he wrote that the loss of my mom was difficult for him and that he's afraid that he might not make it. And of course he did not. He died 5 years later in a road traffic accident. It was tough dealing with the losses of the 2 of them. Life was hard. Life was rough. Like very, very rough. I always tell people, even till now, I'm still in a running phase. Since then, I kept running from danger, and running hard towards making it in life, despite the tough situation that I grew up in. So recently, in one of my classes as a resident doctor in my 4th year in psychiatry, I took an elective which has to do with death, dying, grief, and loss. Shout out to my supervisor. I hope he watches this video too. I won't mention his name except I have his permission, which I can mention in another video in the future. He used a book which I will show us, and that's what I will talk about in the learning phase, the grieving brain. For the 6-month elective, where we had patients who were grieving, and we were able to use the lessons from this book to help them. And that's what I'm going to use in the next few minutes to discuss the MAP LAMP framework and how we can deal with the loss of a loved one, no matter how hard this is. So M is meaning making, using the MAP LAMP principle. And typically, like we do in previous videos, we make meaning mainly in 2 ways, 3 ways, or even there are more ways, but for today we use a quote, and I'll read from what Ellen Keller said. Ellen Keller was one of the American women that was blind, and despite that, she was able to make something out of her life. She said, although the world is full of suffering, it's also full of overcoming it. There's a lot of suffering in the world where we can overcome. I'm a living testimony. Of course, like I always say, I wish I could say that was the only suffering I went through was the loss of my mother or the loss of my father. Unfortunately, no. Life is full of challenges. It may not be the loss of a parent, it may not be the loss of a loved one. But every single day when we wake up, we know not which challenge will come next to us. It could be financial, it could be relationship, it could be emotional. No matter who you are, whether you are the president of a nation or maybe you are a very rich person, every person has their own share of difficulties in life. I remember that series many years ago, The Rich Also Cry. So it doesn't matter whether you're rich, whether you're poor, something we all have in common. Hear me, something we all have in common is suffering and pain. Some don't like the word suffering. It's okay. You can use the word challenge. You could have a challenge, you go through a problem. You could choose not to suffer because suffer connotes that something relatively negative. But it doesn't matter what word you use. Life is full of challenges. And like Ellen Keller said, life is full of suffering, according to her. I would prefer to use the word challenge instead of suffering. However, it's also full of overcoming it. As we have many stories of people that suffer, we also have many stories of people that overcome. Like I said, I am a living testimony. I suffered through the loss of my mother. I suffered through the loss of my father. But today, I'm a living testimony. There are other challenges I'm still suffering through, or other challenges I still have in other areas of life, or similar areas of life. But irrespective of the suffering, irrespective of the challenges, you can overcome it. If you have 10 challenges, you can overcome the 10 challenges and have success. It might not be the kind of success you want, but you can always overcome. And the story of Joseph comes to mind in Genesis 50:20 in the Bible. He said, though you meant evil for me, God meant it for good to save many more lives today. It's one of my anchor scriptures. I have top 7 Bible verses, seven in my life. And one of them is Genesis 50:20 because it resonated so deeply with me when I was going through the suffering of the loss of my parents. And what that told me was, after everything done, the brothers sold him to slavery. And when he eventually met them and he has succeeded some, instead of repaying them evil for evil, I don't have anybody I want to repay any evil for whatever happened, no matter whatever role they played. There were so many devastating stories I had growing up as a teenager, especially after the loss of my dad, that people told me that almost crumbled my life of the unimaginable wickedness of human beings that played different roles in the loss of my parents. But that's history. I'm not giving anybody power over my life. So I don't care about that. That's gone. That's history. Forever gone. I don't need an apology from anyone. Ever. It's a past chapter of my life. But the point I'm making here right now is, as much as there are sufferings, you can overcome every single suffering that you go through. Believe it. Live it. Affirm it. Say it. Tell yourself, I can overcome this. A is action. And the action I will be talking about today is allow yourself to grieve the loss, whatever you've lost, whether it's family, friend, or family member, or loved one, whoever it is that you have lost. Or maybe it's the loss of something dear to you that is not even human. It could be a loss of a job or whatever it is. Allow yourself to go through it. The actions you can take that can help you is, for example, journaling. I journal a lot. I write a lot. You can journal through it. You can write how you feel about it, the pains that you feel about it. That's one action that you can take while going through difficult circumstances and difficult situations. But journal with the right mind. Journal with the mind that I am going to overcome this. Don't journal negatively. Don't journal with your mind like I'm also going to die, or this is going to be the end of me. No. Journal positively. While it's painful, write your emotions. I'm feeling pain right now. I'm crying right now. Like I've shared in a previous video, there were days I locked myself in the room and I cried. cried. Why did all this happen to me? Why must I suffer through all this pain? Journal, but journal positively. Journal that I am going to get through this and I'm going to overcome this. And like I said, it's not only loss of loved ones alone. It could be loss of something dear to you. Journal and tell yourself, I'm getting through this. Put things in the big perspective and put things in the big picture. So one action I'm recommending today is journaling to help you get through that situation. There are many other actions you can take, but that's just the one for today. P is planning under the MAPLAN framework. And what I would say is, we are going through losses or difficult situations and circumstances. Plan something small to re-engage with life. Do not resign that life is not worth living again because of your losses. Make up your mind to re-engage. Small steps, small steps. Journaling is one we've talked about. Another step you could do is, if you want to go back to school, for example, or if the loss of the person gives you more time, take small steps on other things you can do to honor the memory of that person. For me, one of the biggest or best news I had, apart from the very bad many things I had after the loss of my parents, is my father was a pharmacist. One of his friends who was a medical doctor told me he knew my father wanted to be a medical doctor, but he couldn't make it to be a medical doctor, and he had a vision in his heart that one of his children would be one. So that gave me a vision. Although even before I had that, ever before my father and mother died, I'd always dreamed of becoming a doctor, so I didn't know who put that in my brain or whatever. But when I had that, it just substantiated the fact that work hard. I want to be a medical doctor to honor his memory. Although he's no longer here, but I want to be a medical doctor to honor his memory. Again, I will mention his friend's name is still alive. If I have his permission, I'll mention his name in another video or maybe in the book I'm writing before it's published. But the point I'm making is take small steps. So for me, this is one of the small steps I took every day was, what can I do at least to become a doctor? And I become a doctor, one, I will honor my father's memory. Two, I will honor my mother's memory. In addition to honoring their memory, at least what to eat and to drink in terms of finances, hopefully it should not be a problem, at least I should have. Because that was a big deal after they left. There were periods of my life when I struggled to have what to eat consistently many times. But at least I knew if I could be a doctor, at least I would be able to work and earn money, and that what to eat, what to drink will not be a big issue, hopefully. And it has really not been since I became one a long time ago, a few years ago. So I took small steps. When I was in high school, I took steps to pass the exams. When I did my A-level, I took steps to pass the exam. When I was in medical school, I took steps to pass the exam. Until I graduated and I became a doctor. Yeah. In honor of their memory and in honor of the things that I need to do in my life. So learning is the next one, MAPLAN principle. For learning, I already told you about this book. If you are grieving and you want to understand grief, I recommend you getting it. The Grieving Brain is by Mary Frances O'Connor, PhD. I won't go into much details in it, but like I said, most of what I'm saying is a framework from it around MAPLAN. It will help you to understand how the brain works. One of the big things I learned is our brain, when you lose somebody you love, although you know you have lost this person, your brain has a lag in understanding that fact that you have already lost the person is no more. And the things you always do with that person will keep coming up because the brain is used to living with that person. You will understand better if you read the book. So I encourage you to, if you need to. It might help you to understand better how to deal with the grief or the losses you have right now, and to help you understand a little more about grief and losses. And if you've not really lost a loved one, please read it for the purpose of people around you that might be grieving and who have lost loved ones. Again, I'm not being paid to do this. I'm doing it because I learned from it and I felt it could bless somebody. A in MAPLAN is alliance. To build alliance with somebody who can help you get through your grief. We are social beings, and we are not meant to live life alone. Do not live life alone. I just told you the story of my father's friend who told me about his dream of being a doctor, which one of the things that inspired me in addition to other things. He would write letters to me. Then, like I was writing to a friend, he was a big source of encouragement. All through my medical school days, he was a big source of encouragement to me. And even now, he's still a big source of encouragement to me. That's an alliance. Many other people. My mom's chief bridesmaid during her wedding, who is her sister, also was a big source of blessing to me. I lived in a house for a good portion of time. At some points of my life, she was a big source of rock of support, and many others, too many to mention. I have a big uncle who is late now. He died a few years ago. He was a big source. He was a farmer, but he was a big source of support. Many times he would send produce from his farm to me in school. His daughters will bring it to me, bring yam, many things like that. May his soul rest in peace. I'll mention his name because it's late. Esther Babatunde. May God bless your soul. And many other people rallied round and supported. Friends, family. So it's not all bad. Many people wanted to help, but the nature of humans, so let me say this here. The nature of humans is even when they want to help, at times they are just not in a position to help. Everybody has their own issues, and they have that's one big thing I learned very quickly going through this. When people say they will help, especially at the point when you lost them, there were so many people that were like, they would do this, they would do that, they would do this after mom died or after dad died. They promised heaven and heart, but they couldn't do it. Why? Not that they are evil, and not that they don't want to. One, some of them don't have the resources, and most of the time, everybody has their own issues they are dealing with. I'm a bit grown now, so there are many people I really want to help, which I've not been able to because I have my own things I'm still dealing with, separate from the losses of the past. So don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. I know it's hard when people promise you, or maybe they were very close to your dad or close to your mom or close to your loved one before they died, and they really promise that they will be there for you, they will stand strong for you. But unfortunately, they are not there to stand strong for you. Do not take it personal. They might be dealing with a lot too. So everybody's just got to take their life in their hands and decide that if nobody helps me, I'm going to make it. So tell yourself, if all their promises does not come to pass, or they are not able to for whatever reasons, or they even deliberately decided not to help, forget about them. Yes, forget about them and move on. God will never let you down. Mission statement, without talking much about this, I've said this in every video, I have a mission statement for everything. So I have a mission statement of how you want to deal with the losses and how you want to get over the losses, and plans for your life without the person. Let them go, let them be. Don't tie yourself to a person who is no longer here. Of course, you love them, you wish they were here, but at the same time, build your life to go on without them. Let them be able to look down if they are able to, wherever they are, and be happy and proud that you're able to move on with your life. So have a plan without them. My father is dead, my mother is dead. What are my plans? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to achieve? How far do I want to go? Like I've told you in the post I made I have this wristband I wear. You might be able to see it. That's three things. One is abaso, ABASO, which is the name of the pharmacy and also my dad had, which he got from his own name, General Hospital Solomon. Another one is esob, ESOB, Esther Omonike Babatunde, which was the name of my mother. And that started a block industry in honor of her name after she died. And the last one is I live for 3, ILF3, which means I'm not only living for my life, but I'm also trying my best to honor their legacy as much as possible. So move on without them. Don't let them hold you back from fulfilling your purpose. Last one is P, which is prayers. I cannot overemphasize prayers enough. I'm going to do a video one day that it's going to just be only about prayers, maybe in the practical sessions. And I'm going to open you up a little bit of what I mean by prayers. But I believe prayers mean different things to different people. And I don't want to, if you're not a Christian, for example, I don't want to give the impression that your prayers are not working. I know the world is full of, different faiths and different people, and people believe in different things. But one thing I'm 100% sure of, I can share at least what I know, is prayers has been very, very helpful to me. And especially after I joined Living Faith Church in 2000, there were days we go for night prayers, there are days we go for prayers in the evenings, they will pray prayer in the weekend. And I've learned to pray. My prayers are not extremely long, but they are short but powerful. Currently, when I say affirmations and the things I believe in, after saying the affirmation without prayers, then I say it with prayers in the name of Jesus. When I say my mission statement without prayers, then I say it with prayers in the name of Jesus. Meaning, I believe strongly that a higher power more than me can make these things possible. I hope this video has not been too long. I tried my best just to summarize the story of what happened that day. It was a bad day. February 13, 1986 was a sad day. But I can smile about it today. Not that I've achieved, I'm just about to start with the dreams I have that I believe God has placed in my heart. And living for 3, I am just about to start. So I'm excited. I have the opportunity and the privilege to start living now. And my desire, my dream every day, the heart behind all these videos is to be a blessing to inspire you. If you are inspired by this video and you know somebody grieving or going through losses, please share with them. Write in the comments your experience, how you dealt with it. Like the video, share it widely on any social media that you have, and let's get the message out. Let's bless lives. Let's let people know that irrespective of what they are going through right now, no matter how hard it is, there's hope, there's hope, there's hope, they can make it. Does that mean they will not have problems or challenges? No, there will always be. There will always be, but you can move on despite the problems. And with 100 problems, you can have 100 victories. Like Ellen Keller said, the world is full of suffering, but it's also full of people who overcome it. You can be among those who overcome it. Thank you so much, and I can say from my heart to you, I love you. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful time.